people put tolling above congestion as their #1 issue when it came to Capitol Boulevard. You know, you don't have to like it, but that's what the public thinks.
Sure.
And in this government, we serve at the behest of the public.
Hi, and welcome back to the Debrief. I'm Donna King, editor-in-chief of Carolina Journal. We've got a lot of news going on right now. We're going to be breaking it all down, everything from the U.S. Senate race to federal influence over schools and roads. How are we going to pay for them? Joining us this week, we have, of course, David Bass, longtime education reporter for Carolina Journal. And we have David Larson, managing editor of Carolina Journal. And joining us this week, Drew DiMeglio. Thanks so much. He's been a good opinion writer on Carolina Journal and a student. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on some of the things we're going to be talking about today. Let's first start with the U.S. Senate race. We're hearing that Michael Whatley is going to be the Republicans' choice to run for the U.S. Senate. He's not made that announcement official, but it looks like it's coming in the next week or so. David Larson, tell me what you think about that. Michael Whatley.
Well, it looks like maybe Trump has given his endorsement of Whatley as what is being kind of leaked out to the press from various sources. And I think probably part of that is that you know, it's supposed to be maybe the most expensive race in U.S. Senate history, not just in North Carolina history. So Whatley having those connections, not only North Carolina GOP, he's been to all 100 counties. He's traveled extensively. He knows all the donors. So he's got that, and now at the federal level too. So if it's a key race federally that the senatorial people on U.S. Senate campaigns are going to focus on, he's got those connections. So I think that's a signal that maybe Trump sees is going to be extremely expensive, and he's well positioned for that. Also, it looks like maybe in discussions behind the scenes that Laura Trump has decided not to run. So it was rumored that Whatley and Laura Trump were two of the main ones considering it, and looks like if all of the rumors and you know, behind the scenes comments that are coming out are accurate, then that's kind of what he's gone with. And you know, we're also hearing Cooper coming out as likely to make an announcement soon. So if that's the case, then it could almost be that the primary is sort of settled and the general election is next, seeing that not many people are probably going to run against Cooper if he's the
saving their money.
Save their money, because
they'll need it.
He's been getting a lot of push from national sources for him to run, as you know, he's won 6 straight state level campaigns, 4 as attorney general, 2 as governor. So they see him as their strongest, and unlikely that anybody's really going to come out strong against him either. So could be a Cooper Whatley you know, race coming up.
That would be a huge race. Tell me about this. Tell us out. You know, Whatley's in. Does this really show how much power Trump has in North Carolina?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does. I mean, this early in the process, you know, there would be a stop put on the primary, basically, if this does actually play out. And interesting, too, with Cooper, because, you know, the Democrats, it's been quite a while since they won a statewide Senate race at the federal level. Cooper coming in with decades of experience, like David was saying, winning statewide contests, it'll be competitive. It'll be definitely one to watch. Obviously, nationally, eyes will be on North Carolina.
Yeah, of course. Now, Drew, you're kind of new to the political scene. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Cooper has, you know, 2-term governor. I think it's really going to be interesting because this will be the first time Cooper is running for a federal position. So not statewide attorney general, statewide governor. Voters tend to be voting a little differently. It's also the first time he's running in a midterm. So you're going to see lower turnout, a lot more money spent. So.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. This has been a really expensive seat. If you've been tracking this, is Tom Tillis out, but this has been his seat. And it has set records every single time. So this will no doubt set another financial record for this. Drew, actually, let me come back to you. We were talking about, speaking of governors. Yes, you were the governor for the youth and government program at North Carolina. If you have a teenager in your life, this is a an amazing program. You were the governor for this. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so the Youth in Government program is a mock government civic education program ran by the YMCA for high schoolers, North Carolina, and it's in other states as well.
Okay.
And essentially what it does is it emulates state government. They have a legislature, they have a judicial branch, and essentially it teaches by doing.
Right.
And it's been a great program for me and for my peers, not only learning about civic education, learning to be a better citizen, but finding passions. Like that's how I got into government, and that's how I found my passion there. So, and then I've been fortunate to be our state's youth governor, so that was an amazing experience.
That is very cool. Now, is running for governor as politically charged at YAG as it is?
Well, no. So not in our state. Other states do it a little differently, but in our state, we focus on how can you improve the program. Because the governor, yes, he passes and vetoes legislation that is politically charged, but the main role of the governor is leading the program, expanding the program. We had over 1,000 students, high school students from across the state attend the program this year. And that's what I was about. That's what I campaigned on. And yeah.
That's exciting. Well, education is all, that's a fantastic opportunity. Speaking of education, the one big beautiful bill, you know, it's still a mouthful, of course, but it has a tax credit in it, a federal tax credit program that could be really expanding school choice. I think it's the first one at the federal level. Right?
I believe so,
yeah. I think it is. Tell me a little bit about this, because we might see this here in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's just another example of the onward march of school choice, both at the federal level and at the state level. So yeah, a little bit of detail on it. So basically what this would do is it would set up a system where if taxpayers wanted to donate to these scholarship organizations, nonprofits that are set up in the state, they could do so up to $1,700 and get a full tax deduction for
dollar
that.
For dollar.
Dollar for dollar. It's not just reducing your taxable income, it's actually dollar for dollar, which is a huge incentive for people to, would be for people to give there. So that would be set up, and then on the flip side of that, families would, up to 300% of the federal poverty level, would be able to receive grants from these organizations to pay for private school tuition, but also other school choice related things, more in the line of like what an ESA would cover. So there's the flip side of, you know, individuals could give, get a tax deduction, but then also the organizations would be giving out grants so that school choice could expand even more in the state. The one catch with it is that states have to opt into it. Obviously, states like North Carolina, they're going to be considering it shortly here to do so. It'll be interesting to see how some Democrat-run states handle it. There'll obviously be a push from a lot of parents to want that, but resistance, of course, from teachers' unions and the kind of education bureaucracy.
So I guess we don't know the details of what this would be, because one of the concerns that I've heard from families who are pro-school choice don't want any government money. They say, government, stay out. I don't want any kind of strings attached that might direct curriculum or testing requirements or any of these things. So there's some red flags, but we don't really know what it looks like and what strings there might be, if any.
Yeah, true. And I think one aspect with it too is that you know, technically this would be private money that's going, you know, to the individual organizations and then heading back out under the auspices, of course, of government. But it does, for a lot of folks, it raises red flags, I think, especially from the at a federal level. It's one thing if it's state, but it's like, this is a federal law.
Because it might provide a vehicle for regulation.
Strings attached, and then, you know, it might infringe, I'm not saying it will, but there's concern about religious freedom, curriculum standards, all that sort of thing. So it's a new thing, a new world. We'll have to see how it
So are
out.
you expecting anything from the North Carolina state government on this?
Yeah, well, the North Carolina Senate will be considering it July 29th, passing a bill to authorize it, to go ahead and move forward with it. If North Carolina is opted in, it wouldn't begin until 2027, so we'd have a little bit of lead time. But we already have, obviously, a lot of school choice programs here, including the Opportunity Scholarship. If something like this was in place, it would definitely, I think, cover ostensibly more of the tuition for private school. It could, for a lot of families, make it completely covered with OSP as well. So, but again, it's so new. We have to see.
We don't know a lot about this yet. You've been a big school choice advocate. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I don't really buy the. I can see where they're coming from. That there's a worry that there could later be strings attached. I don't personally like that as a pushback to some of these things because
Okay.
overall school choice is it's decentralizing things. It's
Sure.
giving parents more opportunity. It's creating different centers of power, you know, whether it's homeschool, private school, charter schools. So I don't necessarily buy into that argument that, well, this thing looks like this now, but if it's completely changed, it could look like this. Like
Right.
if there's strings attached to it later. You could say that about all kinds of things. Where
Sure.
you say, you know, as proposed it's this, but much later it could, okay, well, if somebody proposed
That's always
changing it that
Medicaid.
drastically,
Medicaid.
then we would
Yeah.
oppose it if they you know, want to change it that drastically. But I
Right.
don't think we should start off with that, those kind of assumptions of some kind of slippery slope that you're entering.
Sure, very interesting. Drew, I'm sure school choice is an issue for you. Your generation is used to having choice in everything, not
Yeah.
just school, right?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I'm a product of a private school. I'm an absolute advocate for school choice, and I think the biggest thing for this, you know, when you combine it with state school choice programs like the Opportunity Scholarship, like some of the programs in Florida, Arizona,
Sure.
I think this is big for accessibility, making school choice, private schools, religious freedom in a way, accessible to the everyday middle-class parent. And I think that's big as we look to promote that, and then also look to improving our public schools so, you know, there's not as much of a need to get out for parents.
Right, right. Actually, you're right. Making sure that, because traditional public schools, most kids will probably still stay in a traditional public school. May not be the case down the road, but at least in the near term. Making sure that they have the bandwidth to handle the population that they have. Right?
Yeah, that goes to some of what you're seeing these vetoes that we're probably going to discuss in
Sure.
a second. But you know, some of those are about DEI or about
Yeah.
you know, just giving a variety of people maybe a sense of that these schools are for everybody.
Right,
That
right.
you know the curriculum and the way the administration runs things is not too ideologically geared towards one side or the other. And I think you know, hopefully conservatives would feel the same on the other side
Yeah.
of it, because I think we do want ideological freedom and
Sure.
free speech and all of that. So hopefully we wouldn't be hypocrites. And then if the shoe's the other way, and if the schools are, you know, being really heavy-handed and pushing conservative ideology, that we would still maintain that. But I think it's probably just healthy
Right.
for public schools to be a little more ideologically neutral. And so, yeah.
Well,
some-
as
yeah.
you're on that, actually, the 29th, they're coming back for this,
Yeah.
but also some veto overrides. Like, I think each chamber is working on 7 or so, is that right?
Yeah, 7 or 8, and a lot of them have to do with immigration,
Okay.
you know, with cooperation with ICE and that kind of thing. There's also if you're over 18, then you will get to be able to carry a firearm without a permit.
Okay.
Let's see, there's a few others. House Bill 805 is kind of controversial,
Sure.
defining male and female as the two sexes. There's the REINS Act. There's also the energy one, because there is these interim benchmarks as we
Okay.
head towards 2050 and trying to be carbon neutral. And the interim benchmarks were by 2030 we have to have a certain amount of carbon and all of that. And so Duke Energy was under some pressure to maybe make those interim targets by adding more solar and more wind. And it had made things more expensive, and also, you know, we saw Christmas Eve blackouts that a lot of it was too quick of a rush.
Right.
And so what that it was about is just maybe not, we're still aiming towards that 2050 goal, but without that rush that might have caused those kind of issues, and instead maybe looking at natural gas as like a bridge fuel to nuclear, where
Sure.
nuclear has no carbon. And so, yeah, there's quite a few things, and it'll be interesting to see, I guess, if the Republicans now, with one under a, they had a supermajority last time. They were able to get Tricia Cotham to come over and
Sure.
and give them that. This time they don't have that. They're one short on the House side, I believe, right?
Yes, one supermajority in the Senate, one short on the House.
And so they're coming back on some of these bills had no Democrats voting for them. So obviously they have a strategy. I don't know what that is. Have they? Sometimes if you offer, you know, something to one of the Democrats, there's a few conservative ones that do vote.
Right.
But you know, there's chairmanships, that kind of thing, or there's who knows exactly what it is. But other times they've just voted. You know, this isn't appreciated by everyone, but they'll vote if somebody's absent or somebody steps out of the room. Somebody has agreed to not vote.
Right. Right.
And then with that one person not being added to the total, then it still can reach
Oh, interesting.
the override number
Sure.
that they would need. So we'll see, you know, how they do it, but they seem to have a plan. Maybe there's a new Tricia Cotham.
Could be.
I've
heard that they're courting a few that might be there. So July 29th, we're going to be watching that really closely. Let us know what you think about some of these. You can find the list of overrides they're going to be considering on July 29th on carolinajournal.com. I'm really curious to hear what you say and what you think about this. So make sure you comment below. I want to talk about transportation. This is something you've talked about a lot, and toll roads. If cars are more efficient, there's more electric vehicles on the road. How do we pay for our roads? This is an issue that's been popping up a lot.
Yeah, no, it absolutely has, and it's been really popularized recently due to Capitol Boulevard. So
Wake County runs right through Wake County. Yeah,
right through Wake County, and ever since the early 2000s, the North
Okay.
Carolina Department of Transportation has attempted to toll, or attempted to upgrade rather, US 1 traveling from 540 north, turning into a freeway.
Right.
And this project started, it was put into the 2012 State Transportation Improvement Plan at a price of $93 million.
Wow.
We're sitting here in 2025 and the price is $1.3 billion. So that's a 14x increase, and it was slated to begin construction in 2018. Construction has not started, and it's been pushed back to 2031. So this has been due to a bunch of different factors, and now, due to the price increase, the construction delays, they're looking at tolling this road. This isn't a new road. See, this is the biggest thing that, and the reason why it was actually blocked in the legislature. It's because this is not a new road they're building. This would be the first time in North Carolina a road would be tolled simply to fund an upgrade project. So yeah, you know, gas tax is decreasing, but the biggest issue here is the state government told their constituents, hey, we're going to build this road. And the thing about tolling is you see it a lot in states like Florida and other states that have lower taxes. So the tolls sort of make up for that and fund the road construction. But we don't have that here. We have a little higher taxes and tolls aren't as common. So this is a complete flip of the way we're doing things. And it's really, in this specific instance of Capitol Boulevard, I think it's really going to be detrimental to the region, to its economic development. I think it's going to price people out of the region. You already have very high home prices in northern Wake County, Franklin County, and it's going to stifle business development.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm thinking back in the teens about the I-77 toll. Do you remember that debacle?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good example of people are. I don't think there's an appetite in North Carolina for toll roads. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, you know, not to get into the specifics, he seemed to cover that very well. But in terms of the broader issue, when I worked for Kathy Harrington, the state senator who, she was the transportation chair and transportation appropriations chair, they were looking at 2% drop a year in terms of revenue from the gas tax, even as more people were driving, more people living in North Carolina, just because even if it's not an electric vehicle, the fuel efficiency is just so good now. So that's a user fee, meaning the more somebody drives, the more gas they buy and the more gas tax they pay. But if that's not going to be the case, tolling is obviously one idea, but it's just not that. There's so many times and examples, including these, where people rebel against that. They don't like the idea
They just won't
of
use
it.
it.
They won't use it. So there's also the VMT, what is it? VMT is vehicle miles traveled. And then there's MBUF, mileage-based user fee. So there's other user fees that are, I don't know if people will like them better, because I think no matter how you do it, if you raise taxes for the general fund, people are not going to like that. If you do tolls, people are not going to. However we start to pay for it, I'm sure there will be some complaints.
So it'd be like a fee you pay when you do your annual inspection or something like that?
Yes. So vehicle miles traveled, a lot of conservative think tanks like it, and it's a user fee, but it's very just one for one, whereas it doesn't matter if you have an electric vehicle or gas powered. If you drive a mile, you pay the same, and it happens odometer readings. Basically, you get your inspection done, and they see you drive 10,000 miles, so here's that. It could be a big sticker shock, because compared to tolls where you pay each time, if a VMT is all at once, that's one concern there. But maybe you could have it kind of spread out. You pay that over time, or have like a
It'd be hard on
quarterly.
small businesses. You know, people have fleet vehicles and that kind of thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I also think with the US 1 example too, what impact would it have on other roads around it? Because
Right.
if people are starting to avoid paying the
They're cutting
toll,
through my
it's already
neighborhood.
so bad.
Yeah, I live out that way, and they would be cutting right down my street.
Yeah. And the politics of it is interesting too, because I think the example of Charlotte, roads, tolls, it can have a big impact. So it's a sensitive issue for people, and figuring it out, it's going to be challenging.
Sure, sure. Last thought on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the history of the project, it's been decades, and I think a lot of it is because the NCDOT has had to really grapple with these different hurricanes, and they've had lawsuits,
Sure.
and the funding has just not been there. I think the way forward could be federal partnership. It could be maybe an odometer reading, but I think the issue with tolling is we have a really huge opportunity in Northern Wake County to do what Southern Wake did and to do what other regions have done and increase the growth. There's a lot of business investment coming in, and I think a toll road could really hurt that. I think his example of the auxiliary roads, 401, Falls and News, these roads are not prepared to take people diverting from the tolls. And the NCDOT did a traffic report, their expressway scenario where every single lane of Capitol Boulevard was tolled in 2040. Less people drove on the expressway that was tolled than if they did no build, and it was heavy traffic like it is now.
Sure.
So why are we considering it when less people are even going to use it? And they did a public engagement study. 60% of people left a written comment that says they explicitly are against tolling.
Right.
Only 16% of people were explicitly for tolling, and when they marked that they're considering tolling, the NCDOT, people put tolling above congestion as their number one issue when it came to Capitol Boulevard. So it eclipsed congestion. I think the
They'd
public...
rather sit than pay.
Yeah, they would. So, I mean, you don't have to like it, but that's what the public thinks. And in this government, we serve at the behest of the public.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate you joining us. And of course,
Absolutely.
David and David, thanks so much. Make sure you check out CarolinaJournal.com. We've got all of the stories on this, opinion columns. We'd like to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe, keep this conversation going, and give us some comments. Thanks so much. Did you learn something? Make sure you subscribe to Carolina Journal's YouTube channel and watch the Debrief every week, where we're going to be breaking down everything happening in your state government. And check out CarolinaJournal.com for the latest breaking news.